Working on it right now. Good evening, everyone. I am calling to order. Yeah, our outreach committee meeting for the Cleveland Community Police Commission. I will start with a roll call. I think we're only missing one person. Chairman Miller.
Present.
Okay, wait, I have a question. Do I have to call you on our roll?
Nope, I'm not a party.
Okay, you're okay.
I'm here for moral support.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm still learning. We are missing Commissioner Umosen, Commissioner Mason.
Present.
Myself, I am present, and we have a guest with us today, Brandon Brown.
Present. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. We are going to vote to adopt the agenda. If it is okay with everyone, I will just ask for a unanimous vote to adopt the agenda today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And approval of the minutes from our last meeting. We can also do that as a unanimous vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Heard. Would you like an opportunity to look at them before we vote on them? Okay, so we can table that until our next meeting, and then we can review the minutes from this meeting and that meeting and approve them both. Heard. No problem at all. We will move at this time to public comment. If we have any public comment today, it appears that we do not. So this outreach committee meeting will actually be relatively short and sweet. We are very fortunate to have a member of our sister board, the Civilian Police Review Board here, Brandon Brown, to give us a high-level overview and kind of a presentation about what CPRB, does and how it relates to the work that we do. We'll give a little bit of a brief update in regard to the work that the outreach committee may or may not have been able to do since our last meeting. And that will really be the long and short of it. So without further ado, Mr. Brandon Brown, thank you for being here. And whenever you are ready.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. And thank you to the Commission for having me here today. I am happy to speak to the public about the Civilian Police Review Board. So for those who are unfamiliar, the Civilian Police Review Board is charged with adjudicating citizen complaints made against CDP employees. Our board has operated kind of alongside the CPC for a while now, and we operate under both the consent decree, but also under our new Charter 115. I guess it's not really that new anymore, but under Charter 115. Again, our main job is to adjudicate complaints that are made against CDP employees. So that means police officers, as well as dispatchers. And sometimes that trickles down to others in the police department, but for the most part, it's obviously Cleveland police officers. And the other part of what we do is that we are the managing body of the City of Cleveland's Office of Professional Standards, which is the department of the city that is charged with investigating police misconduct. This is separate from what you may think of as the Internal Affairs Department. The CDP does have their own Internal Affairs Department to investigate internal issues with the police or matters of criminality, matters that may rise to criminality. Those are generally handled by CDP Internal Affairs. But we get all of, technically our jurisdiction is over anything that is started by any sort of citizen complaint, right? So if anybody walks into a police department and says, hey, I had a negative experience with a CDP officer, I would like to file a complaint, we handle that. If they ask an officer while they're in the middle of some sort of situation that they want to file a complaint. Officers are required to hand you the forms and give you the information to allow you to do so without dissuading you or somehow making you feel like you're going to be penalized for doing so. You can also call us. Our number is 216-664-2944. That'll get you to the Office of Professional Standards. They do an excellent job of not only investigating complaints, but also providing resources to the community. So if you ever find that you're in a situation where you've had some negative experiences with police officers and you're trying to find ways to deal with those experiences or stop those experiences from continuing, I would encourage you to give our office a call because they're great at kind of providing wraparound services beyond just kind of treating the problems as they come up. So that's pretty much what we do in a nutshell. I mean, our meetings are every second Tuesday. Our board it's a 9-person board. Right now, we're short one member, and I believe Cleveland City Council is in the process of searching to fill that spot. So right now, we're an 8-person board. I serve as the vice chair of that board. I may have skipped that. My name is Brandon Brown. I'm the vice chair, and I've also been nominated to be chair of the CPRB next month. So that'll shift over. But right now, the chair is Billy Sharp. And so we have an 8-person board. We meet every second Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. During those meetings, we go through cases. We have a lot of cases to get through. And so usually we try to hear anywhere between 10 to 15 cases per month. In those monthly sessions, recently we have added extra sessions each month because our Office of Professional Standards has been doing an incredible job of kind of plowing through the backlog and just churning out cases. So we have a lot of cases to get through. So we handle those matters. We also handle matters with regards to OPS and managing OPS. One of our jobs is, like I said, we're the managing body over the Office of Professional Standards. So that means if there are any, HR issues or personnel issues, or if we need to hire people, we're over that entire department. And so we have to move as one manager, even though we're 8 people. So that can be difficult. It can be time consuming, which is why our meetings are 9 to 3, and we still don't get done everything that we feel like we need to get done. So I don't know if any of you guys have any questions or if anybody here has any questions. I am happy to answer those questions. I'm excited to hopefully continue to build a bridge between the CPRB and the CPC. The way that I kind of philosophically see our roles is that I think the CPRB kind of has a judicial role. So if you think about people go to court, people get their cases heard, and ultimately those cases have some sort of disposition, right? And the CPRB is the quote unquote judge in this metaphor of those cases. I view the CPC as sort of a legislative body, if you will, where you guys have obviously been charged with the power and ability to create policy, right? And so one of the things I love about this, or at least I would love to see between us, is that we see a lot of cases, right? So we firsthand see how our rules affect our citizens. So we see if there's an issue with the policy surrounding body camera footage. If we're constantly running across the issue, I'll speak on one. We run across issues where officers tend to work 12 to 16-hour shifts, but our body cameras only have batteries that last 12 hours on a good day. So it's like, by the nature of what we're doing, we're automatically allowing for a 4-hour gap where officers just won't have body cameras, right? And we know this because we've encountered this kind of case multiple times where we're like, where are the body cameras? And they're like, oh, it died. Right. And this is not something where you could blame the police officers. They're just doing their jobs. And to be frank, I think when they're in the field, there are things that they have to concern themselves with beyond just what is the battery on my body camera. Right. We can't take officers off the street to charge their cameras. Right. So and that's just one example off the top of my head. But there are a slew of things that we come across. And so, the idea is that we communicate with each other as board so that if the CPRB identifies a potential issue or a pattern that we see within our department where there's a loophole, or even if something that's just not workable for officers, I think that it would be good for us to come over to the CPC and say, hey, we think you guys should take a look at this, because you guys handle policy a lot more than we do. We make policy recommendations based on what we see, but I would love for that to come from you guys more than just us, because OPS they have a tall task of investigating complaints. I'm trying to make sure I don't leave out anything. See, EJ's much better at this. EJ's our community outreach coordinator, and he's excellent at telling people exactly what we do and what OPS does. But unfortunately, he couldn't make it today. But yeah, so I think that's it for my spiel. But if you guys have questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Brandon. I think, well, the first thing that comes to my mind as a question is, when you guys are reviewing cases, so you guys are also under the Open Meetings Act, as we are, right?
Yeah.
Are
Yes.
the case reviews public?
The case reviews are public. Yeah. So the way our cases work is that so the Office of Professional Standards, they'll get the case, they'll get some sort of complaint, and they will go and do their investigation. They'll call whoever they need to call. They'll interview the complainant. They'll interview any witnesses. They'll interview the officers. The officers will usually have union representation present for that, and then they will compile everything that they gather. They will put together a report for us, and they will submit to the board a report as well as all of the supporting documents. We, as the board, we review those reports, we review those supporting documents, and then at the meetings, that investigator comes and they present the case to us. So they come and they basically give us a detailed summary of the case. They'll say how they got the case. They'll say what the complainants, essentially what their charges were, what their allegations were, rather. And then they'll kind of walk us through their investigation. They will give us a recommendation on whether or not the case should be, whether or not the allegations should be exonerated or unfounded, insufficient evidence, or sustained. They will give us their recommendation, and then the board will then ask questions of the investigator if we have them. If the complainant is present, we will ask the complainant to come up, and they will be able to give their recount of what happened, or their side of things, quote unquote, if you will. Very recently, we have also opened up that opportunity to police officers. That had not been the case before. Generally speaking, officers were not coming to our meetings. They still haven't really done it, but I think that's because culturally it hasn't been the case. But now that the CPRB has the ability to levy discipline without going through, well, we basically have the final say on discipline, besides, if they appeal to the CPC. So because of that, we figured as a due process matter, it'd be good to offer that opportunity to the officers to come in and speak directly to the board, as opposed to just speaking through our investigators. So once we get through all of that, then we deliberate as a board based on every allegation, and then we make our determination. And all of that that's done in our meeting is all done publicly. So anybody can show up to all of our meetings, except for we usually have a couple meetings in the wintertime that are only virtual. But all of our general meetings are at City Hall, 9 a.m. every second Tuesday, 5th floor, I believe, room 514. And then any special meetings we have are usually virtual. But yeah, and even the ones that are in person are still streamed on YouTube. So people can go look now if they're just interested. You can look up CPRB Cleveland and find our meetings on YouTube, and you can see us deliberate. I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most exhilarating thing that you're gonna watch, and they tend to be lengthy. But if people are curious, I would encourage you to go take a look.
Do we have any other questions, Commissioner?
To the chair, to Mr. Brown. So when it comes to CPC, and it's an appeal, do you send the entire package to us, or we have to make requests?
So the way that it's worked so far is that the complainants will usually, if they're not satisfied with our ruling, then they will appeal to you guys. And so what we've started doing, and this is in the last probably 6 or 7 months or so, is that in the materials that the disposition letters that we send to all of our complainants, no matter how we just decide on their case, in there, it will say, if you're not satisfied, you have the ability to appeal to the CPC. And then there's some sort of information there about how to get in contact with you guys. So usually the complainants will be the ones who will spark those investigations, and that appeal rather. In which case, you guys would then reach out to OPS or us and say, "Hey, we got this appeal. We need the investigation packet." So once you reach out to us for the packet, we'll have our interim administrator, Kristen Traxler. She'll send that right over.
Thank you.
That was my question as well. And I look forward to seeing how we can work together as far as the policies you were saying and the things that you see that's common with the community. Definitely want to explore them options some more so we can get some policy change.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so much opportunity for synergy there because we make policy recommendations almost every meeting. There's something that we come across where we ask OPS to, hey, can you take a look and see exactly what's in the GPOs, see exactly what's in the policies now, come back to us with a report on what it is. So then that way we can try to make some sort of recommendation, right? And generally we've been kind of operating in our own bubble with that. And then we'll send it over to the police department and say, hey, this is what we think. Sometimes we hear stuff, sometimes we don't. Most of the time, at least, and admittedly, I'm not, once we send it over, it depends. Sometimes I will follow up, but a lot of times, admittedly, I don't. But there have been a couple times where I feel like there were policy implementations that were at least considered. They don't all just go into the void, but I mean, a lot of them do, but they all don't. But that's one of the reasons why I want to try to get you guys involved, because I think that, they'll carry just much more weight. Yeah.
And we actually have a policy committee, so that'd be perfect for us to introduce us and, bridge that gap between the two.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
Vice Chair Brown, I would welcome any sort of policy recommendations from the CPOB. So you may feel free to message me those or have the interim administrative executive message me those.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have Administrator Traxler from here on. Now you put yourself on a hook, so we'll be sending you stuff. But yeah, no. So that's good to know. The contact that we can go through directly.
Through the chair, and I'm sorry, I might have missed this if anybody said it. So maybe you guys would come up with like a formal process for submitting that, so it could be like a open line of communication back and forth of that.
Absolutely, Mr. C.
Do you want a mic? Mr.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we get you a mic, or would you like to?
I'll use my outside voice. Yes. Mr. Brown, you indicated that a complainant or a officer can appear on their own behalf.
Yes.
Does the officer's rep from the union can that person also appear?
Yes, an officer's rep from the union can appear. Usually, if they appear, they're going to appear with the officer. But yeah.
And is notice of their capacity to appeal, is that sent to them prior to the meeting, so everybody knows that they could come if they'd like to?
Yes, that's going to be sent prior to the meeting. Now, I think I've mentioned this before, but that is something that we've implemented recently, because before we implemented our new manual, which allowed us to kind of operate under Charter 115, which gives us kind of the final say on discipline before appeal. It used to be that we would essentially make suggestions that would then go to the public safety director, and then the public safety director would make the final call. So because of that, we didn't feel the need to bring the officers in, because ultimately the public safety director was the final arbiter. But by us being the final arbiter now, we wanted to allow for the officers to come and speak directly to the board. We've always had officer input because we always interview the officers, particularly unless the case is going to be administratively dismissed, which means that in a preliminary investigation, we found that there's enough evidence here to exonerate the officer without having to bring the officer in, right? But if there's at all a chance that the board is going to rule to sustain any sort of allegations, then we're going to allow the officer the opportunity to come in. We have not had that yet. And I think that's because culturally, before the last few months, that hasn't been the case. I also don't know the union's stance on bringing their officers in. I don't really want to speculate on that either. But I'll just say I won't be surprised if we won't get officers in that particular arena, by it being a public meeting and a public arena, and the board will then have the opportunity to ask the officer questions directly, because we do ask. Like, if a claimant comes up, we will ask them questions, and it may not always be questions that are positive to their case, right? Generally, I mean, we're a fact-finding board, so if we see that there's an inconsistency, we may ask a complainant about it, and we're going to do the same thing for an officer. So, there may be, because of that, I imagine that we may not get officers. But I did want to come out here and say we are giving them the opportunity, if they want to stand in front of the board, to allow them to speak with us directly.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you do pretty good in representing the CPR.
I tried. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think the purpose of our board is to instill confidence in the community. And one of the things I say to my fellow board members is that if people think we're not doing our jobs, then we're not doing our jobs. Because the entire purpose is to raise confidence. And if we're not doing that, even if we are actually doing our jobs and we're actually adjudicating these cases, if people don't think we are, then we are losing the purpose. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think my final question was actually directly in regard to outreach itself. So obviously this is the outreach committee meeting. And so one of the main reasons that we wanted someone, specifically you, from CPRB, to join us and kind of share with the community what it is you do is something that we've discussed as the outreach committee, something we want to do and we'll be working toward doing more of for the rest of this year, is really giving people a comprehensive understanding of what it is we actually do, how they can get involved with the work that we actually do, and how that work directly affects and benefits them as a community. So to your point, Brandon, it is very true that if the people of the city of Cleveland don't think we're doing our job, then we're not doing our job. No matter how much work it may appear to be getting done in the background, we were put in place by the people of the city of Cleveland, and they want to absolutely feel the work being done. So from an outreach perspective, what are some things that you believe, I guess I would like to say on behalf of your board, but I will just say as an individual, and in conjunction with the CPC, what are some things that you think that we can do maybe collectively, whether it's informative events, being more present at different city events. If you guys are willing to submit things for the calendar that our outreach coordinator has worked on, Sam, if there are things that you're willing to submit to her calendar, whatever that looks like, what are some things that we can immediately work on together to better create that perception, one, of unity, and kind of bridge those gaps that you were referring to, as well as giving a more comprehensive education to Clevelanders about what it is we do.
Yeah, so I think that was an excellent question. Did you say something about EJ?
I was just.
Okay, so if for those are we on video too?
Yes.
For those who are watching me on video, go through my phone. It's because as soon as you said that, I went to the OPS, Office of Professional Standards, Facebook page, and this is where I am going to fall short in telling you all of the things that OPS has been doing, and I don't want to fall short on this. So I really wish EJ was here. EJ Pavlovich is our community outreach coordinator. I may be butchering that title, but he is everywhere. Like, EJ has been in so many. I literally just pulled up our Facebook page, and he just shared an article from Cleveland.com about ShotSpotter, and we had somebody come in and talk to us about that, by the way. But there was a Superman event at Cleveland Public Library that he was at. I know we were at Pride. We were at a Community Builders event a few days ago, Community Builders Conference. Legal clinics, he's showing up there, and we'll have tables there. We'll have things to pass out. EJ truly is an ambassador like no other. He's found a way to partner with various different organizations. I know he's going to a lot of the ward meetings and the district meetings. Either he's there or other members of OPS are there. One thing that I've always said about our board is that even though in some ways it can cause us more work to have to manage the Office of Professional Standards, one thing I love is that OPS is just such a great ambassador for our board and for police accountability as a whole. Because we have essentially 15 people who support us, right? So we have the ability to hire somebody like EJ and say, hey, your job to just take care of getting us out there. So my advice would be reach out to EJ. That's like the simplest thing I can say that will kind of encompass everything. And I just know he's going to be a lot more eloquent than I am and just a lot more knowledgeable about where the opportunities specifically align, because he's been out more doing that particular area of the work. Now, in general, I do think being visible and being present is always important, right? Showing up to events is important. I think the general profile of board members can matter. It may make it easier or harder for you to be seen in the community if you're just somebody who's out and around. So I think that matters. You know, I don't think obviously every board member doesn't have to be a socialite. I'm not necessarily saying that. But I do think it helps when people say, oh, I know somebody who's on the commission. I feel like I can go talk to them. Or I know somebody who's on the police review board. I think I can go talk to them. Or in some ways, when you know someone who's in a certain position, you may actually trust the decision of the board more, right? You may trust the decisions of the commission if you're like, oh, I know that person. And even if I may disagree with one thing, I know that, like, as a person, I know they're good people, right? So that's my non-specific answer to your question. And it's only because I just know EJ would have came with a slew of things, and he still will if you guys invite him back.
Well, I know that Sam has a great working relationship with EJ, and he comes highly recommended. So we do very much intend on having EJ come back out, hopefully at our next meeting with more notice. He will be here. And again, we're very grateful that you were able to join us today in the short notice.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Do we have any other questions from the commission? Okay. In which case, thank you again, Brandon. Really, really genuinely appreciate you being here. Thank you for the information. So I guess we can move on to old business. As far as I am concerned, old business still looks relatively the same. Some of the action items that I presented at our last outreach committee meeting, I am still waiting to hear back from some commissioners in regard to the list of stakeholders and some of the names that I asked for so that we can start putting out maybe those call to actions. Sam, I know that I have not done a good job of connecting with you in regard to the calendar, so I don't know where we are in regard to that, but it's
in the works, it's working.
It's still in the works.
Updated.
Awesome.
It's getting updated every day because there's
Good.
a lot going on. So,
Love to hear it. Thank you very much. There was one more thing. Oh, the survey.
Okay. So through the chair.